This is a very easy to play Evoker build that can solo almost anything in the game while being high damage, high sustain, very nice boon output, and can even be played in a party if you really wanted to. This build is an all-round talent while being very easy to perform on. So if you're intrigued by this, be sure to watch the whole video to not miss out a thing about this amazing build that you can also see here in the background, of course. Special shout out to all my dear supporters that help me keep the lights on. I'm Surma, and now without much further ado, let's jump straight in. Quick disclaimer here at the beginning. This is a build that focuses around pressing the buttons at a somewhat random order. Just pressing all the buttons that you have off cooldown will yield very high results. That's the low effort of this build. It's not specifically designed of pressing only one button and having a very low actions per minute number. This is not the case. You actually spam your buttons quite frequently. However, it's always the same buttons and it's not some kind of order that you need to follow, not really. So you can just press all the buttons of cooldown and reach really high numbers. That's the important part. That's why I think this is a low intensity build, even though it has high APM. Keep that in mind. For gear, you want to go full Celestial gear. You could go with Viper gear if you want to, or something like that, or Ritualist even, but Celestial is the best in slot gear, I would say, and the best in slot rune would be Superior Rune of the Trapper. However, if you cannot get this, you can go for Nightmare Rune, Balthasar Rune. In general, any condition-based rune is fine. Best in slot is Trapper Rune. And for the gear, you would run, typically, I would recommend a Focus, which is the best in slot weapon, but it's not necessary. You can also go for Warhorn if you want to. This is the highest damage setup, but if you want to have more utility, you can go for Warhorn or even Dagger, whatever suits you better. If you can afford infusions, you would go with Expertise infusions to get exactly 100% burning duration, but it's not necessary. It's not like absolutely the end of the world, of course, I also don't have it, but that would increase your damage a bit. And you would go with Superior Sigil of Earth and Superior Sigil of Frailty. However, you can exchange the sigils if you need, for example, if you have some friends around that apply some vulnerability, Superior Sigil of Bursting would also be a good option. For trinkets, again, full Celestial, of course. And for Relic, you would go with Relic of the Fractal for the most amount of damage. If you don't have Soto or you don't have the Fractal Relic yet, you can easily replace that with the core Relic of, for example, Relic of the Crate. It's okay on this build as well. Or if you need a defensive relic, you can go with a Relic of Rivers, which is also fine, which gives you some nice alacrity on dodge and some regen. So that can be quite nice as well, but not necessary in this build, because you will see we can spam our skills anyway quite often. So now let's talk about the consumables. For consumables, you want to go with Fishy Rice Bowls, actually. 15% increased burning duration and some condition damage is unbeatable. Best food for this specific build. And then you want to run Tuning Icicles for the best amount of condition damage that you can get. Just the best setup. Before I go to the traits, I want to mention, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this and tier list and all about the good stuff about Visions of Eternity coming up, be sure to subscribe. But now let's talk about the traits. The traits are quite straightforward. You are after all an Evoker. You want to go Fire, Earth and Evoker. And Fire, very straightforward, a lot of damage multipliers, and you get some nice burning chance on critical hit. You crit quite often with Viper or Celestial, and you get more burning duration, really nice. Then you have some more condition damage and more damage, and just more direct damage. You could swap, if you need more Condi Glances, to Smothering Auras, and you get some nice Condi removal as well. Or if you need even more Condi removal, you can go for Burning Fire. So that would be something like that. But typically that's not necessary, so you can go for the most amount of damage. Then you have Earth. It's a defensive trade line. You get some damage reduction, get some barrier, which you cannot get because you are locked into one element. We will get into it in a second. And you get some more damage reduction. Then your Aura's Ground Protection, really good. Just some more defenses. Then you get some more condition damage based on your toughness and some bleeding application, really good. And then Written in Stone, your signets, when you cast them, will keep their active going, really good. And you get an aura depending on what kind of signet you use, which grants you protection or can be useful in general. For example, Magnetic Aura for reflecting, or just Frost Aura for damage reduction. Then you have Evoker. Evoker gets access to your familiar, which you can use. I would specialize in your Fire familiar, which means you can get some nice might whenever you inflict burning passively, really good, once per interval, and you inflict some burning with this skill. This skill charges whenever you use a fire skill that is not the weapons, the auto attack, and that will just do some damage. And it's an instant cast, and it's quite nice to just spam off cooldown. You will see why that's important. If every third time you use this skill, you get an empowered skill, which is really, really strong. It will grant some really nice AoE burning spread and does some nice damage and resets your attacks. We will get to that in a second. Okay, then from the traits you get some more might empowerment, so your might will now grant more condition damage, really good. Then you get some more condition damage here, really good. Whenever you use a familiar skill, which you use all the time, you have that up forever. And then you use Spirit Successor for some healing output. If you don't need any healing, then you can go for Fiery Might for increasing your damage by like 5 to 10%. It's really good. And this is just the best amount of healing. Whenever you use a familiar skill, which you use very often, you will get some nice healing there. Then you get permanent quickness with this trait. So just spamming a familiar attack gives you some nice quickness. Also your allies, that's why you can play this as a quickness DPS. And then you take specialized elements, which makes this build very easy to play because you just cannot swap any other element. You will stay in fire all the time. However, when you use a familiar attack, it will recharge your basic recharge 2 seconds. Any weapon skill that you have will be recharged by 2 seconds. If you use the empowered familiar skill, it will be recharged by 6 seconds. So you can spam your attacks way more often. And to charge your familiar, you need your attacks anyway. So you like there is some like infinite loop there going. And that's the whole idea. And you have Signal of Restoration for some passive healing, actively for some healing and some incoming damage reduction, as well as the improved toughness that you get from the Signet of Earth here, or damage reduction 10%. Also some nice long-ranged Immobilize and Bleeding. And then we have Fire Signet for some even more damage and some nice crit chance. Also AoE burning here from long range. Then you take Fox's Fury, really strong skill because it grants you a lot of might, a lot of burning, and it's a stun break. So really, really overloaded skill, really good. You could swap whatever you need. So this is just the most like utility setup and also nice damage. If you need more like protection, you could go for this, but typically you already cap out with protection. You can go for invulnerability with the Earth Shield. Mist Form, you can go more Condi Cleanse here in a stun break. You can go for Teleport for more barrier and protection and stability. There are so many ways of like playing this. And if you need a block, for example, you can use this. If you need more CC, you can use that. Then you can also summon an elemental if you wanted to. Or you can go for Elemental Powder if you need some stun break and some nice damage as well. There are so many options, like exchange for what you want. This is just the setup that I like, that makes a lot of sense and is a lot of damage. And then you take Glyph of Elementals for just in fire, of course, to get some more damage out. And that's also why if you use this, you get a flip over skill, which you then can use, and that can also proc the Relic of the Krait if you run that, if you don't have Fractal Relic. For the rotation, you would use your Flame Wall and then use your Blast Finisher. Always use your familiar skill of cooldown as well as the Fire Shield. Don't double tap, just use it once. And then use your Signets of cooldown as well as the Fox's Fury. And always use your instant cast Glyph of Elementals when it's up. And that's the whole rotation. Always try to use your familiar skills when all the other weapon skills are off cooldown so that you actually get all the procs and get the recharge for all the maximum value. And you see instantly 25 might. And of course use the empowered familiar skill to get even more damage out. And of course use the Signets of cooldown. And you can see I permanently upkeep everything. I can delay my familiar skill a little bit, just so that I actually get everything going. With the correct setup, you can even reach 28k, so it's really, really high, really fun, really strong. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.